Welcome to financial analysis lesson on time value of money. It is very important for the financial manager to determine the value today of cash flows expected in the future time. Suppose you have two options to choose between receiving money today $5,000 versus $5,000 after 3 years. Which one you will choose? Definitely, you should choose $5,000 today, as this $5,000 today has more value after 3 years because of potential gain on interest. In the most general sense, the phrase time value of money refers to the fact that $1 in hand today is worth more than $1 promised at some time in the future. On a practical level, one reason for this is that you could earn interest while you waited. So, $1 today would grow to more than $1 later. The trade-off between money now and money later thus depends on the rate you can earn by investing. So our goal in this lesson is to explicitly evaluate this trade-off between dollars today and dollars at some time in the future. It is very important to learn the ways of finding out simple interest and compound interest before going through time value of money calculation. Here we can see a simple interest formula where I equal to P times R times T. Here I is interest, P is principal, R is interest rate, T is number of periods. For your understanding, there is an example here to find out simple interest. Suppose you have deposited $1,000 in the interest rate of 10% for 1 year. So what will be your simple interest for 1 year? Here your principal is $100, your interest rate is 10%, and number of period is 1 year. So by using the simple interest formula, we can get principal $100 times interest 10% times 1 year. So here your simple interest is $10. This way you can easily find out simple interest of your deposited money or any types of financial transaction. Here you can also see another example. simple interest for multiple years. As like previous example, you keep deposit $100 in the interest rate of 10% for 3 years. How much will be your simple interest? You have to keep it remembered that for simple interest, your interest rate is for simple interest, your amount of interest will always be same if your interest rate is same. So as per the example, your principal is 100, your interest rate is 10%, and your number of periods is 3. So every year you will earn $10. Using the formula, you can also get the same 100 times your 10% interest times number of period. So your simple interest over the 3 years is $30. In simple interest, interest is charged only on the principal. But in compound interest, interest is charged on both principal and your last year interest. Here we can see two formulas of compound interest. The first formula, P is principal, I is interest, N is number of compounding periods. In second formula, similarly, P is principal, R is interest rate, N is compounding frequency. Suppose you have deposited your $1,000 in a bank which will pay you 10% interest semi-annually. In that case, you will get your interest in each of the 6 months of certain year. So since it is semi-annually, the number of compounding frequency is 2. And T is the number of years you are investing or depositing your money. But in this formula, you can multiply this compounding frequency and number of years together and put in the place of n power. Suppose you deposited the money for 5 years semi-annually, then your n will be 5 into 2. So your n will be 10. To make you understood, there is an example here. Suppose you take a 3-year loan of $1,000 at an interest rate of 10% that compounds annually. What would be the amount of interest? So here your principal is $1,000, your interest rate is 10%, and number of periods is 3. So using the first formula, principal $1,000 times 1 plus your interest power 3 minus 1. So you can get your compound interest $331 on your principal. You can also get it more better if you see this timeline. At the year 0, you deposited or you applied for loan $1,000. After 1 year, your compound interest on this loan will be $100 at the rate of 10%. The first year, the calculation of compound interest is similar to simple interest. But in second year, to calculate compound interest, you have to consider both principal and first year interest. So your principal is 1,000 and first year interest is 100. So total value is 1,100, and its interest at the rate of 10% will be $110. Similarly, in the year 3, you have considered your principal, your first year interest, your second year interest. So total is $1,210 times interest rate 10%. So your compound interest in the year 3 is $121. So altogether, your interest will be $331 for 3 years. So this way, you can calculate your interest before taking loan, before investing your money in any project. From this slide, we are starting the facts of time value of money. Future value. Future value is the cash value of an investment at some time in the future. Suppose you have $10,000 today and you would like to deposit this $10,000 at the rate of 10% in a bank for 1 year. Since your interest rate is 10% yearly, after 1 year, you will receive $1,000 as an interest on your principal. So after 1 year, your total value of a deposit will be $11,000. So you have $10,000 today, its value will be $11,000 after 1 year. And it is called future value of money. $1 you have in hand, its value after certain time or in a future date. Here you can see the future value formulas. I've shown here future value formula based on simple annual interest rate and compound annual interest rate. We have already discussed about simple interest and compound annual interest. So in this formula, FB is future value PB is present value or amount of money invested today. R is interest rate. T is number of years. Future value using simple interest. Suppose you invest $1,000 for 5 years in a savings account with 10% simple interest paid annually. Here your present value or invested amount of money is $1,000. The number of period is 5. Your interest rate is 10% and it is annual interest. So using simple interest formula, $1,000 present value times 1 plus times 10%, which is your interest, times 5, which is the number of year. So through multiplying this, you will get 1,500. Since your annual interest is 10%, then every year you will earn $100. In 5 years, you will earn $500 as interest. So $500 plus your present value or invested amount of money $1,000 is $1,500. So your present value is $1,000 and its future value after 5 years is $1,500 for actually it is because of the potential gain or interest. So you will have to remember that future value should always be more than the present value as interest is applied here. You will get certain amount of interest every year on your investment. Future value using compound interest. Following the previous example, $1,000 invested for 5 years in a savings account with a 10% compounding interest rate. Since they have not mentioned semi-annually or quarterly, you have to consider a 10% annual interest rate. So using the compound interest formula, your invested amount $1,000, which is also your present value, times 1 plus your interest rate 10% power number of years 5. Through calculating this, you will get 1,610.50 cent dollar as future value of $1,000 invested today. So here 610.50 cent is your compound interest and 1,000 is your principal amount or invested amount. Altogether, your future value is $1,610.50 cent dollar. You can also get in the deep of this calculation through this timeline. At the year 0, you have invested $1,000. So after 1 year, you are entitled to receive 10% interest on your invested amount. So 10% interest on 1,000 is $100. So $100 plus 1,000, 1K, $1,000 is $1,100. This is your future value in the year 1. In the year 2, you have to consider both your principal and your last year interest. Interest on your principal is $100 at the rate of 10%, plus interest on last year value is 110 at the rate of 10%, which is $210. So $210 is your compound interest income. It will be added with your principal amount of money, $1,000. So altogether, your your future value in year 2 is $1,210. Interest will be 100 on your principal amount, 110 on first year interest, plus 121 on second year interest. Altogether, your interest is 331 and your principal is 1,000. So future value in the year 3 is $1,331. So this way you can find out in the next year's future value. Multiple cash flows of future value is the future value of each cash flow. Suppose if you want to deposit your money in bank, you may deposit in several times. Like you may deposit 5,000 in current year, 10,000 in the next year, or 50,000 in the third year. So how you will calculate this multiple cash inflows or outflows? To give you broader idea of multiple cash flows calculation, here we have displayed an example. So according to the example, you will be able to deposit $4,000 at the end of the next 3 years. That means in every year you will deposit 4,000. First year you will deposit $4,000, second year you will deposit $4,000, and the third year you will deposit $4,000 at the rate of 8% interest. You currently have $7,000 in this account. Now you have to find out how much will you have in 3 years. How much will you have in 4 years? So let's start first from the first question, the future value of next 3 years. We know that future value equal to present value times 1 plus r power t. So at the year 0, you have $7,000. you have to find out the future value of this $7,000. In the future value of this $7,000 after 3 years. So at the year 0, you have remaining 3 years. So 7,000 your present value times 1 plus 8% interest power 3 number of period. So you will get your future value of 8,817.98 cents. According to the question, the year 1 you will deposit $4,000 and you have to find out the future value of this 4,000 after year 3. Since you have deposited this money in year 1, so you have remaining 2 years to calculate. So 4,000 times 1 plus 8% interest power the remaining period of future value 2. So you will get 4,665.60 cents. This is the future value of your first year deposit $4,000. In the second year, you will also deposit another 4,000, whose future value will be $4,320. Here you have only 1 year remaining to calculate the future value of the 3 year. In the year 3, you will deposit another 4,000. So this 4,000 is equal to your future value of the last year. So if you sum up this, you will get 21,803.58 cents in the 58 cent of future value in the last 3 years. So now you have to answer how much will you have in 4 years. Since you have already got future value of the 3 years, so now you have to only find out the future value of 4 years. So the present value is 21,803.58 cents. You have to keep remember that future value of last year is always present value of current year. So future value of last year's is 21,803.58 cents. So it will be now considered as your present value, which is 21,803.58 cents times 1.08. That means 1 plus 8% of the interest. So if you multiply it, you will get future value at year 4 is 23,547.87. You can also calculate this type of mathematics or problems through financial calculator. At first, you have to find out the value of each cash flow and then you will add them together. At year 0, at first you have to find out the future value of the 3 years as per this question. How much will you have in 3 years? So here at the year 0, you have remaining 3 years. So your N is 3, your interest rate is 8%, your present value, currently you have $7,000. So your present value is $7,000. So here we have shown negative value before present value because it is cash outflow. That is why we have put negative value here, negative sign here. Then you have to press CPT FB in the financial calculator. You will get 8,817.98 cents. So this way you can get the future value at year 4, at year 2, at year 3. And similarly, you can add them together. Then we'll get the future value in year 3, as well as if you want to find out the value at year 4 according to this question, you have to make sure that you have already find out 3 years future value. So you have remaining 1 year. So your N is 1, your interest rate is 8%, your present value is 21,803.58 cents. You have to press CPT FB in the financial calculator, then you will get this amount of money as future value at year 4. This is another example of multiple cash flows. Suppose you invest $500 in a mutual fund today, and 600 in 1 year. If the fund pays 9% annually, how much will you have in 2 years? So first year you invest 500. Sorry, currently you invest 500, and the next year you will invest 600. Now you have to find out their future value. According to the formula, at year 0, you invest 500. At year 0 means at present. You have invested $500 times 1 plus your interest 9%. You have to find out future value in 2 years. So currently you have remaining 2 years. So 1 plus 0.09 power 2. So future value of 500 is 594.05 cents. Similarly, in year 1, your invested amount is $600. So you have remaining 1 year. You have remaining 1 year only. So that is why 600 times 1 plus your interest amount, interest percent 0.09 power 1 is equal to 654. So altogether, your future value is 1,248.05 cents. Here, you can also see the calculation using financial calculator. In year 0, you have remaining years to calculate 2. So N is 2. Your present value in year 0 is 500. Interest is 9. And you have to press in calculator CPTMP, you will get 594.05 cents. Similarly, you can get future value in year 1. So altogether, here result is also 1,248.05.